Understanding how the positioning of an element works. Positioning is all about where an element is going to be positioned on the web page, be it by default or as per our design. I have seen many beginners struggling to understand positioning, and this is completely normal because they are not taught the correct way. I have seen many tutorials on YouTube related to the positioning where the instructor simply applies the different values of position property and then explains the result. They are not wrong though, but I guess instead of directly learning positioning by writing a few lines of code, we must first understand what is the logic behind positioning, how it works, and the core concepts that revolve around it. So, why positioning and what problem does it solve? Well, it's very simple to understand. Let's say that we have to fix the position of some elements on the web page. For example, a nav bar. We want to fix it on the top of the web page, and when the web page scrolls down, I want that nav bar to be fixed. It must not move with the web page. It should stay at the top always for easy navigation. We can use the positioning for that. Now I will show you this example practically in a moment, but first let's quickly clarify a few more points. Next I say I have a few divs with width and height of 100 pixel by 100 pixel. Now I want to position the first div, so the orange div, in the right side bottom of the web page. We can do that. Now the div is going all the way down and treating HTML as its parent and fixing it with respect to the HTML. But I want this div to stay inside the body and not the HTML. You can ask me, but why do you want to do that? The reason is pretty simple. It is based on our design and we want our box to be inside the body. To achieve all of this, we need to understand the concept of positioning. One more example can be having a small box. Consider it an element. It could be anything, an image, anchor tag, heading, etc. inside a big box, and then controlling the movement of that small box inside that big box only. It must not overflow the big box, and then when we scroll the web page, then the small box should move along with the big box. Now when I say control the movement of elements, then it means that now by using top, bottom, left and right properties, we can control the movement of the element. I hope this simple animation is clear to you. So let's now quickly discuss the terminology of the positioning. We use the position property to control the positioning of the element. This property has 5 values. Static, which simply means the default appearance of every element on the web page. Relative elements moves relative to its original positioning. Absolute simply gets rid of the DOM and then we can control the movement like it is flying in the air. And then we have sticky that moves itself based on the user's scroll position. Fixed simply fixed itself at a certain location. And then G-index simply means stacking of element. So in the last we have G-index, which simply means if you have the element appearing in the same place, then which one should be visible, means which one should be above, so we can control that using the G-index. Let's say we have orange div appearing static and on the same place we have blue div having G-index of 1. So the blue div will appear over the orange. Now to make orange appear over blue, we will have to increase the value of orange div's G-index to even higher than the blue. And then if you want the blue to win again, then increase its G-index to even higher than the current G-index of the orange div. So the element having higher G-index will always appear on the top. Now all of this will become crystal clear with the code. So let's start the real fun. Okay, then let's now talk about positioning. So this time on index.html file, I have 3 divs. All of these 3 divs has div class and then box 1, box 2 and box 3 individual classes. As for the stylings, let me show you what do I have. Also I have a nav bar here which we are going to use in a moment, but for now I have commented it. Okay, so yeah, create these 3 divs on your own. And for the stylings, we don't have much. Again, I have made the browser reset, and then on HTML itself I have provided the border of 20 pixel, and then body has background color of this black, somewhat black, and then body also has a border of 20 pixel, and I have decreased the opacity so that it will be a little easier on my eyes. Okay, and then the div, so all of these divs, so all of these 3 divs has similar styles applied on it. So width of 150 pixel, height is same, then I have also included a border of 5 pixel, and then I have given all of these 3 divs a margin of 5 pixel. Font size I have increased from default to 30 pixels so that this box 1, box 2, box 3 will be clearly visible. And then I've used flex so that I can put the text in center of the box. So justify content center, align item center. Okay, again we are going to understand about flex box in a moment, not in a moment, but after this video. Okay, but yeah, if you want to do it, you can do it. And then these box 1, box 2 and box 3 all of have individual stylings applied. So that is background color of blue violet for box 1, orange for box 2 and purple for box 3. So if you do this setup, you will end up having something like this. Okay, now this is not yet. Similar to this, I also have this presentation. So this is the keynote presentation that I have developed, and you don't have to develop. The reason why I developed is to show you what goes behind the scenes when we apply an element a position of certain value. For example, if I apply position of absolute to any element, what happens to that element, I'm going to show you using this presentation. So I'll be able to move this manually, and you will be able to understand how the element actually behaves when a position of certain property is a position of certain value. Okay, position of certain value is applied to them. Let's now understand positioning in depth. So positioning has these 5 major values starting all the way from static. So static is the default appearance of any element on the web page. So whatever element that you are seeing right now, all of them are positioned static according to the rules of how the web browser parses an element. For example, I have this navbar on this index.html file. If I quickly uncomment this, if I save this, you will see that our navbar is showing up here. However, this is not styled, but again we are not going to care about stylings and detailings. You see that this is positioned static. So browser has some rules to parse this. Those rules can be anything, like where this navbar is. Well, this navbar is before the box 1. So it says okay, so before the box 1 this navbar is, so I'm going to place this navbar before the box 1. What is the behavior of anchor tag? Well, this is inline, so browser parsed this anchor tag in an inline way. Okay, so this is the default behavior of any element that is appearing on the web page, and it is considered static. For example, if you create a paragraph after the ending div, I can say lorem of 5 words. If I save this, however, you cannot see the text because the background is black, as well as the color of paragraph is also black. But now when I highlighted this, you see that our paragraph is created after box 3. So this is the default appearance of any element. Okay, so when you apply position of static, let me comment this navbar as well. We are going to use this little bit later. Okay, so if you apply any element a position of static, then nothing will change. If you say position of a static, you will see no changes. Okay, nothing changed, everything is as same as it was earlier. So we understood position static. Static is the default appearance of the element. Now what is relative? Well, before talking about relative, I want to show you something. Let's say that I want to have this box a margin of 100 pixel from top. How can I achieve that? Well, I can say margin dash top, right? We can. So I can say 100 pixel. If I save this, we have a margin of 100 pixel from top. I can show you, right click, inspect, and then I can select this and I can go to computed, and now you can see that our box 1 has a margin of 100 pixel. Now can you notice something is off here? Well, that something is when we said our box 1 is going to have a margin of 100 pixel from top, it also moved box 2 and box 3 down. Now I do not want this. When I say that I want this box 1 to have a certain number of margin, that does not mean that I want this box 1 to push box 2 and box 3 down. No, this is not correct. Our design may not suggest us to do so. But again, this is the default behavior of margin. When you apply margin on any element, then the further element is going to be pushed. Okay, now how can I fix this? Let's say that I want this box to surely have a so-called margin of 100 pixel from top, but I do not want box 2 and box 3 to move. I want box 2 and box 3 to always stay at its original position. Well, for that you can use these position property: relative, absolute, sticky and fixed, and one of them is relative. So when you say position of relative, then relative simply means that now you can control the movement of this box on which you have applied the position of relative. You can control the movement of this box without disturbing another elements, and then this element is going to be moved relative to its original position. So now you can control the movement of this box one. So I can say now you don't have to use margin top. Okay, so whenever you are using position property, you no longer qualified to use this margin top, margin left, margin right, margin bottom, but now you will have to use top, left, right and bottom property to control the movement. So you can say top of again 100 pixel, right? So I can say 100 pixel. Now you will see that our box surely will have a 100 pixel so-called margin from top, but box 2 and box 3 is not disturbed. Isn't this amazing? It is, right? Now one thing I want to clarify here is that this top of 100 pixel does not mean margin top of 100 pixel. Margin is different, this top of 100 pixel is different. So I have seen many beginners making this mistake. They actually confuses themselves by saying that this top of 100 pixel is also similar to this margin top of 100 pixel. No, it isn't. It isn't. Margin top will be computed in the box model, but this top of 100 pixel will not be computed in the box model. You can see the representation here. If you expand your body and then if you check out the box one, if you click this box one, you'll see the computed part here. So you see this is 150 by 150, that is width and height. We have no padding, we have a border of 5 pixel and then margin of 5 pixel. So this is the margin on div. So this is the margin on div, and then this is the margin and then border. Okay, but now can you see we do not have any margin of 100 pixel from top. But whoa, what is this? Well, this is position 100, but this is position of 100 pixel applied on this box. So this is not computed in the final box model. So you know that box model is the representation of how an element is created. Okay, and positioning is not added into the overall creation of an element, because position is simply the value that you have applied to that element so that it can position itself at a certain location. What is that location? That location is 100 pixel away from top. So relative simply means relative to your original position, which is this one. Move yourself using top, left and bottom property. So now you can also use left. You can say left of I can say 200 pixel, and now relative to its original position the box one started moving. So this is its relative position, original. Now I can control the movement. So when you say 100 pixel, it moved 100 pixel from top. When you say left of 200 pixel, it went 200 pixel from the top. You can again say, let's say bottom of 100 pixel, it will move up. Okay, so I can say that. For that we'll have to comment top, because top does not make sense. If you save this, our box is somewhere here. So I can say, what if I say bottom of, let's say 200 pixel, let's see what happens. Yeah, it went above. Okay, so when you say, let me decrease this, so you can actually see that it is moving upwards. Did you see? Box one went right up. Okay, so but when you say top, left, bottom, right, it simply means that the element will be pushed away from that side. So left of 200 simply means 200 pixel away from left side, 200 pixel away from right side. Okay, I can comment that, and I can actually provide a negative value as well. So I can say, let's say first of all save to make it relative. Now let's say that I want box one to go right here, negative. I can give it a negative value. So I can say, let's say left of minus 100 pixel, and it will be somewhere here. Okay, so it is going right here, so it is away a pixel away from left, which means it is going inside. Okay, so this is minus 100 pixels. Similarly you can say top, left, bottom, right of 0 as well. So what if I say top 0, and this is important for me to show. If I show you 0, then it is at its original position, because this is its relative position, that is top 0. Similarly, left 0, right 0, bottom 0 will also be same. Okay, so this is relative to your original position without disturbing other elements. Start moving. And then after this we have absolute, so I can comment this out, and now I can say position of absolute. Now absolute is pretty interesting. Absolute simply, I can say, deletes box 1 or the element on which you have provided the value of absolute from the document flow. So if I save this, you see box 1 is still there, but box 2 is gone. Now box 2 is not gone. What is happening? Let me show you. When you say box 1 to absolute, it means it simply is flying. It is no longer the active member of the document flow. Now it created this space. It is no longer the active member of document flow, which means this space is vacant. So when this space is vacant, then this box 2 is going to take this space, and then box 3 is going to take box 2's space, and then since this box is positioned here, then that's why you are seeing this output. So box 1 is here, box 2 is behind this box 1. Box 2 is not gone. I can show you that. If I now apply, again I can control the movement of this box using left, top, right and bottom. So if I say 200 pixel, you will be able to see box 2. Did you see that? So box 2 was underneath box 1, and now you understand why. Because this box 1 is now flying, which created this space which is then fulfilled by box 2, and then box 2's space was empty, so box 3 took box 2's space. And now you can control the movement of box 1, box 2, box 1 actually, again using top, left, bottom, right. So this time if you say, let's say top of 0, it means 0 pixel away from top. So if you save this, can you see this? Box 1 is aligning itself with the HTML, with the parent, and of course we have 5 pixel margin, that's why you are seeing little distance there. If I comment this out, now you see that box 1 is aligning itself to the HTML. So it simply means that when you provide a value of absolute to any element, then that element will treat HTML as its parent, and then it will move according to that parent. So if you say, let's say if you say left of 0, then it will align itself right here, right in the left. So it is coming somewhere here. So top of 0, left of 0. So in English it simply means that, hey box 1, you are positioned absolute, which means no control on yourself. Align yourself 0 pixel away from top, 0 pixel away from left. So position absolute will ask, okay, so which is my parent? So by default, if you apply position absolute to any element, always remember, make sure to write down this in your notebook, okay? So when you apply position absolute to any element, it simply starts treating HTML as its parent and align itself according to it. Okay, so this blue part is the HTML. So when you say top of 0, which means 0 pixel away from HTML, left of 0, which means 0 pixel away from the HTML. So that's why it is aligning itself right here. Similarly, if you can say bottom 0, right 0, it means it will be somewhere here. So when you say bottom 0, it will be right here. So this is treating HTML, which is the viewport, as the parent. Okay, and then if you say right of 0, there you go, it will be somewhere over here. Okay, so HTML and its current viewport. So don't get confused. If I increase the height on this body, if I give this body a height of 2000 pixel so that I can make it a scroll, can you see this? The box 1 is sticking itself right there, which means that it is treating the current available viewport. So if I decrease this down, little down, let me decrease this little down, you will see our box 1 is also decreasing. So it is treating the current HTML, which is the viewport. So current viewport, and then it is sticking itself relative to it. Okay, and now when you move up, it is moving upwards as well. Now you can see that this box 1 is treating HTML as its parent and then moving relative to it. Now what if I want this box 1 to treat its original parent as its parent and then move inside that container? Well, for that you will have to manually tell this box 1 who is its parent, which is body. Okay, so let me quickly get rid of this height additional height that I created. Now I want this box one to move within this body, not within this HTML, because body is its original container. So let me show you. You see that this box one is within this body parent, not this HTML. Of course HTML is the parent, but this is not the direct parent. This is the grandparent, which also contains this head and then this body. But this box one's original parent is body, and I want this box one to move within this body. So this red box, not this purple box. Well, for that we will have to tell that, hey box one, your parent is body. Now how can I do that? Well, for that you will have to apply this body a position of other than a static to it. So you can apply a relative, absolute, sticky, fixed, but not a static. Static simply means the default behavior. So right now saying position static is simply as doing nothing. Okay, so that's why you cannot apply position of static to it. Now what do you think will be the correct position property applied to the body, so that without disturbing the normal document flow we will be able to move this box one within this red container? You can say position of relative. Why relative? Because by default relative does not do anything. When you say relative, it means relative to your original position, which means if you say body position relative, then nothing will happen. It simply means relative, which is this one. But a position is applied to relative, a position is applied to this body. So now this box one will actually find out the rules and regulations and will be able to figure out that, okay, so now body has a position of other than static applied to it. So it means that I'm going to treat this body as my parent. If I save this, now you see that box one is treating body as its parent. Now you can control the movement of the element, but now it will be contained within this container. So if you say, let's say if I say top of 0, and you see now the box is treating HTML as its parent. If you say let's say left of 0, left and right does not go one on one. So yeah, it works, but left and right together does not make sense. Okay, so again I can say bottom. Now you see that our box is contained within this container. So this is absolute positioning. Always remember the rule that if you are using absolute positioning, then you will have to mention that, hey element, your original parent is not HTML, but your original parent is a certain container. In our case it is body, but in your case it can be anything, and we are going to see the use cases of this when we will develop John Wick portfolio website. Okay, so practice whatever I have taught you, do some manipulations with the values on your own, and see if you are able to understand how the positioning works, and give it some time and it will all make sense. Next up we have to talk about sticky. So sticky is pretty simple to understand. An element with position sticky is positioned based on the user's scroll position. For example, I want to draw your attention on this portfolio website that we are going to develop. Now you can see that we have a nav bar at the very top. When I scroll, can you see that nav bar is fixed? Okay, so sticky element toggles between relative and fixed, and depending on the scroll position, so scroll position, this is the scroll position, depending on this scroll position it is position relative until a given offset position is met in the viewport, then it sticks in the place like position fixed. Now let me explain you all of this by writing few lines of code, and then it will make sense. So let's comment this and comment this as well. And in our index.html we have this nav bar. Okay, so I'm just quickly going to uncomment it. Now you can see somewhere here, yeah, okay, so we have this nav bar. Now let's select this nav bar and provide it a position of sticky. Now by default, if you provide it a position of sticky, nothing will change. Okay, nothing will change. And of course, since sticky position works with a scroll behavior, then we need to increase the height as well. So let's quickly get this height. Okay, and if I scroll, nothing happens. Okay, because we certainly have said that, hey nav, your position is sticky, but we haven't defined the scroll position. Okay, so let me define the scroll position for this navbar, but first of all let me define few stylings for all the anchor tags. So I have said all the anchor tags that is inside navbar, so I have increased the font size and changed the color. So if I save, okay, now I can define the scroll position. So here I can say, let's say top of 10 pixel. So this in English translates as, hey navbar, your position is sticky when you are 10 pixel away from top. So move, but when you have a distance of only 10 pixel, then fix your position. So if I save this, now if I move the web page, you see now when our navbar finds that okay, so it has only 10 pixel of distance from top, it fixed itself. Okay, I can increase this to 15, and now when we will have 15 pixel of distance, now our navbar is fixed, and I can actually change this to -15 as well. So now our navbar will simply push inside the top. So if I save it, you will see our navbar will half be covered inside the top, and then it is fixing itself right there. So this is position sticky, and then after that we have this fixed. So fixed is also pretty easy to understand. Let me show you an example. So if I navigate little down, can you see this button here that I click, it takes me to the top of the web page. Let me click it again. Did you see it? It took me to the top of the web page, and if I navigate little down again, we'll be able to see it. So this is a anchor tag that is fixed on the right side of the bottom of the web page. So let's try to do something similar to this. Fixed simply means fixed. So here I have created a div. I have given this div a class of fixed, and then I selected that fixed class, gave it a width of 60 pixel, height of 60 pixel, and background color of orange, and it is appearing like this. Now I can provide this a position of fixed. Save this. Now it is gone. Now you can control the movement just the way you controlled the movement of an absolute element. Okay, but this element is always going to be fixed at a certain position. So here I can say that, hey div, I want you to be away 2 rem from right and 2 rem from bottom, so somewhere around here. Okay, so if I save this, you see our box is here, and when we scroll our web page, our box is always going to remain there no matter what, similar to something like this that we have here. We have made that fixed as well. Okay, so this is the very simple understanding of positioning. Now let's quickly talk about this G index, and this is also very easy to understand. Come on, let's go to positioning.css, and let me override few elements, and then we are going to talk about. So first of all, let's select the box one itself. Let's give it a position of absolute and save it, and box 1 is here. Okay, now box 1 is here because it is taken out of the document flow, but box 2 is behind box 1. Now if you want to keep that box 2 above box 1, you can change the G index of box 2. So you can come to box 2, and here you can say G dash index, and since there is no G index applied on this box 1, you can always increase the G index here by 1. So you can say G index of 1, but when I will save it, nothing will happen. If I save this, see, nothing happens. Why? Because the rule is, if you are using G index property on any element, then there must be some sorts of positioning other than static applied to it. So again, the better positioning is you can apply a position of relative, because position of relative by default does not do anything. So if you apply position of relative and G index of 1, which is higher G index than this box 1, so box 2 will appear above box 1. Did you see that? Similarly, if you now increase the G index of box 1 to 2, now box 1 will appear over box 2. Did you see that? Now if you increase the G index of box 2 to 3, now box 2 will appear above box 1, and similarly if you increase the G index of 4 of box 1, now box 1 will appear over box 2. So the rule is very simple. If you want an element to appear over some element, then increase the G index of the element that you want to appear over an element. Okay, so the higher the G index, the above it will appear, but there must be some sorts of positioning other than static applied to it. So the better positioning that you should apply when using G index is position relative, because by default position relative does not do anything. Okay, to move this box, you are going to control the movement using top, left, bottom, right. Okay, but by default if you apply position relative, it does not gets rid of the documentary, it is still the part of documentary. Okay, so always use position of relative and then use g index. But if you have position of absolute applied on this box one, then there must be some reason why you have applied position absolute, because you want to make this body relative, so you don't have to think much about g index issues. Okay, so here you can easily include g index of any number. So this is an overall understanding of positioning. Now again, if you are a beginner, this may sound little over intimidated, so I will suggest you to watch this lecture 2 or 3 times and do some manual coding on your own. Try to change the position, try to change the values, read these rules and try to understand. Okay, like will move inside its parent, so go and figure out who is the parent. Only if the parent has a position of other than a static applied to it. What does it mean? And once you will be able to understand the complete fundamentals of these statements, you are going to master positioning. Okay, again, I do not use this word mastering very often because I don't believe in something like that. But again, if you want to become really good at CSS, then there are something that you need to understand to the core, and positioning is one of them. I hope you understood this. Next up, Flexbox, and after that we are going to talk about grid. So see you there.